World Famous TV, what's the deal? This is episode 002. And guess who I got with me? The one and only Kenny Mccloud, platinum producer. What's up, Ken?
What's going on, 6-1 Easy?
You're the man.
Right on, man.
You're the man. Look, first of all, before we get started into this illustrious career, platinum records, and fabulous individuals that you've worked with, I just want to let the world know, from the time Kenny got to Los Angeles, he's been a full-service studio, and also he's helped out several members of community of Watts, Compton, Los Angeles, Hawthorne. I'm talking about people brought up and also became stars because of Kenny. Helped them and gave them knowledge and a place they can opportunity and a place where they can record. Very important. So he's just not talking about it, he is about it. But let's get to the skit. So Ken.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When did you get to Los Angeles?
Back in the 80s, beginning of the 80s, 82. After college, came straight here from Madison, Wisconsin, and started this music career.
So, your main instrument of choice is what?
Guitar.
The guitar.
Guitar, baby. Guitar.
Now, this is a serious question. When you came to Los Angeles, you saw the Hollywood sign, big lights. Did you know that you were going to make it?
Oh yeah, I had that in my mind already before I even left Tennessee, going to college. I knew when I was a kid, I used to watch Fat Albert and Cosby Kids. Rudy was on guitar. He always played his guitar and was real cool with the little Kango hat on, had the little dance. Yeah, that was me. So I want to be like Rudy. I want to be a great guitar player and do music. But Rudy's from a junkyard, so I just wanted to play the music and get out there and do it, you know what I'm saying? So It led on to, making the money and all the rest of the things. But that was my inspiration.
Now, there's one thing that I noticed about your guitar playing. International, world-renowned, everybody's heard your riffs. The wah-wah, and some of the notes you hit. B.B. King, Albert King, all these dudes, when you hear them play the guitar, you know who's on the guitar when you hear it. So you have and made your sound popular. You have your own unique way of playing the guitar, and you can spot it when you hear it. Now, How does that feel when other musicians recognize your talent? I'm talking about top tier musicians, from Kashif on down.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. I was a self-taught musician, grew up down south playing, Confunction, Parliament Funkadelic, Prince, and Rick James, all type of funk music. When I came to LA, it was like, the funk is what was in out here, so I fell right into what was going on, and that's how we did it. They called it funk out here. They call it West Coast. Down south, we called it the funk, and that's how it happened. It just kept the funk going.
So when you came to LA, you used to be a part of a band.
Oh yeah.
I mean, your band was laced. What was the name of your band?
Well, when we came out here, we had a group called Onyx back in the day, before the rap group Onyx came out. Me, Shock G, Ray Chevis from For Example, that was signed, the MCA, Goldie Gillespie, June, and Reggie was on drums. We had the group going. We used to do KA's concerts in the park and, put everything together like that and get out there. And we had a Prince type of impersonation type thing going on. Ray was real tight, close to Prince. He had that look, and he would do his thing. And we backed him up, and, we had it going on for a minute, But we were still, at that time, making, what, $50, $100 a night. That wasn't it.
That's paying dues. Paying dues.
Paying dues, having fun,
Well, I actually got to see footage of the band Onyx.
Yeah.
And y'all was laced, outfits, hair, everything,
Oh yeah,
music.
We put it together. Back then, you had to put on the show when you went out,
Right, killing it.
Like it is now.
So, how did that relationships that you made there, because you mentioned Shock G, another world-renowned artist, Humpty Hump, Tupac, on down, right?
Oh yeah.
So, when people were recognizing your master guitar playing, because at the time you were just learning your craft, but you were a master already.
Mm-hmm.
And people gravitated towards you, right? So when did you figure out that even though you're in a band and you're making small pay, but you needed to break away and become an international producer? How did that first come into your head that that's what you wanted to do?
Well, you're talking about the small pay or whatever, rent had to be paid, so you had to pay more money, first of all, you know. And so the studio was more stable because we didn't have to move around and, you know, go and do gigs all the time. And, you know, the studio was more stable. You can charge an hourly rate rather than, you know, rehearsing all the time and then go do a little gig or something like that and get paid. You know, studio was more consistent pay. So, and doing music, it all went together, and, you know, that's how I started the studio. And like I said, Shock G was one of the first ones that even came to my studio, you know. Him and Jody and Goldie Gillespie, you know. Some of the first guys came to the original Blackhole back in 1984.
1984. What a lot of people know is they're from the town, then they understand that you work with Watts, Compton, LA, Hawthorne, everybody, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, San Diego, wherever, New York. You work with everybody.
Oh, yeah.
But in your earlier days, can you tell me about, for one, the 16-track reel to reel, the automation, and the SP1200?
What? Who was I working with around that time?
Was you also the I forget the keyboard, world class keyboard.
Juno 106.
Juno 106.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that.
Yes, sir. Now, you were honestly one of the only production studios who had the warm sound. How did people, I mean, how did you attract clients from that sound to come to your studio?
Oh, just doing the funk again. Once again, you know, you had to have the heavy sound. And then when I came to LA, everybody was using the 808 and adapted to the 808 real good, the boom. And to this day now, I think, you know, the 808 from that day on, it just kept getting more popular and popular to where it's just taking over music now. Until that 808 is a main instrument in all music pretty much right now, as far as, you know, a lot of the mainstream hits that are out right now, including Old Town Road, you know, the country rap song is out right now, you know. It's doing great with that old 808 in there. It's #1. So yeah, and I think part of the reason why that went #1 because the 808 was in there, right. You know.
Yeah, so a lot of producers, you know, they using all of this new technology, and they don't even understand what it means to loop a hook or automate a 16-track reel-to-reel, or even the small memory space that you have in the SP1200 to come up with a music that the world loves.
Oh yeah, the SP1200, I think you had maybe 2.5 seconds to a half second a pad or something like that. You had to get it in each sound, and then you just sample the sound pretty much. Or if you wanted that loop, then you had that 2.5 seconds. You do half of it, do the next half, and put them together. And that's the way they did it back then until, you know, the Radar came out and Pro Tools, and everything got a little bit easier. So, you know.
So now at this time, you've mastered your craft. You're in Los Angeles. You're shaking and moving with some of the most prominent musicians and artists in the game. Prince on down. People respect you for your talent. What was the first record that either you produced or wrote that started to get a buzz and people started to know Kenny Mccloud, I need to work with him?
I mean, when I first got out here, of course, you know, me and Shock G were hanging out together. We were doing our thing with the group out here, Onyx, doing the case, concerts in the park. Then I opened up the studio. I was working with people like the Pointer Sisters, Hank Ballard and the Midnighters. I even went over to A&M Records the owner over there was Herb Albert. You know, I did his album North on South Street with him, you know. So once I started, you know, getting into the R&B side of things like that, and, you know, I knew that I was in that door, especially messing with Herb Albert and having to do the union and all that type of stuff, you know. It was just a matter of me peeling off doing what I wanted to do, you know.
Oh, that's cool. Now, then you mentioned the Pointer Sisters.
Yeah.
Anita Pointer, I want to tell you thank you very much. I got to work with her.
Oh, yeah.
She paid me studio, write records, help out Roxy, her niece. Thank you. You paid my rent.
Anita Pointer was really nice.
Yeah.
I met her through a partner of mine, Joe Johnson, which has passed away right now. Big Joe. He introduced us to the Pointer Sisters, and we went up there and worked with them at the house, and they came down to the studio and did some work there with some of the other relatives of the Pointer Sisters, nieces and stuff like that, you know. And we put it together and made it happen, you know.
Yeah, they're real good people, positive people. White carpet, white floors, white couches, dirty dog. No problem at her house. So thank you, Anita. That's a good story, Ken. Now, what I wanted to ask you, the world wants to know too. You're getting this buzz, you're working with Grammy, Oscar nominated artists. How did you get the connection with Eazy-E?
Eazy, he was at the studio. He came with a guy, another producer, Unique. He came by the studio, and they called me up one morning and said they had some a new group that was in town called Bone, and they wanted to get in real early, like 6 o'clock in the morning. And we went in and started working on them, and they said, anybody know how to play in here? I was like, yeah, of course, you know. And that's when like Busy and the other guys started humming the parts in my ear, and I started playing Thuggish Ruggish Bone and Creeping on the Come Up, and, you know, the Crossroads and all those songs, you know.
Smash hits, big records, still big to this day. Thankful that they recorded them records because now it's supporting their grandchildren and great grandchildren.
Yeah, well, actually, Crossroads was a song that we had did with Unique. He did. We got that song from the Isley Brothers. You know, we just remade the Isley Brothers. You know, Kill Kill back in that time was good for coming in, doing like old Isley Brother remixes and stuff like that. You know, he vibed us out on something like that, and we jumped on that one and came up with a Crossroads. You know.
So Kill Kill had something to do with Crossroads?
Well, Kill Kill was doing those type of songs back then. You know, he would take old Isley Brother grooves and beats, you know, and put them together. And then do his rap on top of them.
Yeah, Kill had some tight musicians that would come through.
Or the whole little Watts thing, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was big for that. And then even he had one called Dear Mama, and then Tupac came out with Mama Dear after he passed him a tape. So, you know, it's just street stuff, you know, that's going on. That, you know, ideas out there and people doing what they got to do to make it happen. You know, whoever get to it first.
So, you're working with Bone, you're working with Eazy, you're working with everybody in the town, but Bone in particular. When you recorded that first record, how did you know? Did you know that these guys were going to be big? Because a lot of people thought they were just knuckleheads, just straight up. They thought they were knuckleheads.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you're recording a song, you just do the song and do the best job you can, you know, on any project I work on. But knowing Eazy was behind the project had a little more meaning behind it because he had that power, which he did. We worked on the song and did it. 2 weeks later, it was on the radio because Eazy could take that song and get it to the radio real quick. You know what I'm saying? And that was the jump off for everything. It's having somebody to be able to work around somebody that can do something like that. You know,
that's amazing. That's pretty fast. You said 2 weeks later the record was on air.
Yeah.
And this is not the digital age.
Yeah.
This is back when you actually had to put in footwork.
Remember, he had the Ruthless Show and all that, the radio show, and you know. But he got it on mainstream radio and everything right away.
Wow.
Because he had that kind of power.
So, you know, working with Eazy-E, did he give, did y'all mail, did he give you wise words of advice, or, you know, what was the interaction like working with him? A lot of people want to know, you know, he's gone now, rest in peace Eazy-E.
Yeah, he
a lot
always
of people want
said,
to know.
y'all keep doing what you're doing, and you know, like Mace Man had a lot of groups down there, and he was like, keep putting those groups together, y'all gonna be rich one day, you know. Just do what you do. Like Nike said, just do it, you know.
Just do it.
Just make it happen.
Okay, so now, you went from the Onyx to Funk. Came to LA, you're proving yourself. People recognize your talent, you start working with Grammy and Oscar nominated artists, whether they're from film and television or radio. Then you get the break to make a smash hit. Not only one, but multiple smash hits. At this time, you're on top of the world. Everyone knows your tune. Just like a skunk. They know your scent. You left it everywhere. How does you feel at this time when the world is loving your sound? Even they love it right now, but I'm talking about the time when it first jumped off.
Yeah, I mean, it was on the radio and it kept playing over and over and over. And, you know, the world took it on and it became that anthem for Bone, you know. That was about it, you know.
So, the smash hit is going on, and at the same time, you work with world-class musicians. So, can I ask you about a couple musicians? How was it like working with Kashif? Rest in peace to Kashif. How was it working with Kashif?
Yeah, it was a cool experience working with a man that did so many hits like that, you know, and looked up as a producer. And some of the stuff you used to listen to as a kid, you say, wow, now I'm working with the guy that produced all that stuff. And I thought that was great when I was a kid. Like, wow, this music is the most incredible thing ever. And now I'm producing with him. You know, he heard some of my stuff and he liked the way I did drums and played the guitar and, you know, mix and engineer. So we got together and did a lot of things together, and I learned a lot from him. You know, he was a big fan of 16K, and he taught me that. You know, so yeah, that was he wrote in his little book to me, hey, Kenny, you're my ace boon coon, so that's my ace boon coon, you know.
Then I got to meet Kashif through you.
Right.
He actually come to the studio, hang with you all the time.
Yeah,
a lot of musicians do. But what amazed me, Ken, is when, because you had just got the Nord Lead. I'm not dating anything, but Nord Lead just came out. You got it.
Mm-hmm.
He come to the studio, he want to play it. Come to the studio, his fingers was moving so fast. I was amazed. I didn't even know who he was at the time until you had to sit me down and tell me, oh yeah, that's Kashif. He's produced these mega hits.
Right,
He's my friend. But I was just amazed how well he could play. And he listened. You tell him one time, or he listens one time, and that's all he needed, and here you go. Oh, I thought he was awesome and amazing, man. I thank you for letting me meet him.
Oh yeah, and a great person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
Brooklyn Boy Records.
Brooklyn Boy Records?
Mm-hmm.
Shout out. Big time.
That's right.
So now, you work with Kashif, you working with the Pointer Sisters, you working with some personal people that I know, that I respect, that put it down, that hustle in the street. Mace Man, OG Bobby Wilson, Kill. You work with oh man, I can't even. Badass. What's the name of this? Lowdown Records. You know, you had everybody into the studio.
That's right.
Everybody into the studio. So at this early time, you're making hits and you're rubbing elbows with all the best. Who was the best artist or musician that you had worked with up until the second Bone record? Bone.
You know, they always been one of the top groups because they sold so many records, and you know they got the most respect out of a lot of the groups. I still stick with them.
Stick with Bone?
Yeah.
Now see, I was in the studio. You work with Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
You work with Jayo Fellony.
Mm-hmm.
You work with DMX.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is some of the upper echelon artists.
Right.
Now I seen you work with them, and they came to the studio and was just amazed how quick you work, how good the sound is, and how warm everything was, and how everybody walked out of the studio happy. Right. So
I say with Bone, it was more of a experience. Let's start from the hi-hat to the snare to the kick, you know. So we did it like that, you know.
Oh, build it from the ground up.
From the ground up, you know. That's how I ended up being a producer on the project.
Okay.
You know?
So at this time, when you did, now I remember the session, Raekwon the Chef, it's just the Wu-Tang. How was it like working with Wu-Tang when they came to the Black Hole? Now all these people came to your studio. Everything we're speaking about is that people come to the Black Hole Recording Studio.
Oh yeah.
So how was it working with the Wu-Tang?
Yeah, different ones, you know. They were all cool. Method Man was real cool. He pulled up with a chauffeur and, you know, in his limo, and let's see, what's the
Old Dirty Bastard. Old Dirty Bastard was there too, yeah.
Yeah, we would sit on the couch, and Old Dirty Bastard would always talk about his family, and, you know, he would be concerned about them. He just want to take care of his family all the time. That's all he talked about all the time, you know. And he was on the song with Jayo Fellony at first, but they took him off because they didn't like what he was talking about.
Insider knowledge right there. So that's, I can give it to you, but what you gonna do with it?
Yeah.
Old Dirty Bastard was originally on the song. You recorded him, I was there.
Yeah.
But he was a little bit too wild, so they took him off the track. See? Big time. So, okay. I want to ask you another question because it's some other artists that I respect that you work with. So, Kill. He had a number of various artists that came through. That's a good, solid brother. How was it like working with him?
Oh, it was cool. He was, you know, he's a big leader of the Watts, you know. Like I said, he had the Watts Up song. He put it down for Watts. He put Watts on the map as far as he was doing music back then, and he was motivating a lot of youngsters to come in and try to do the music and get out of the streets, you know, and he was pushing them, you know.
Yeah.
Kill was a good leader for a lot of people, you know. Still to this day.
Yeah.
You know. I see him trying to take the youngsters and make them into something, you know, and take them to that next level.
Yeah.
And he does it with his own money.
Yeah, and I've witnessed that. Just not talking. He's about it.
He about it.
Yeah. That's 100. And I've got the opportunity to work with Kill thanks to Kenny Mccloud. Shot his video, Enemy Amongst Friends. Shout out to Beretta, he was in the video too. And it's absolutely true. Kill does reach out to the community. You know, even though he had a troubled past, he don't want to see his kids go through the same troubled past that he went through. So he tries to do a difference. He does community outreach. He actually does. And that's super big. And you got to work with him. And you also was his mentor too. Just like all the rest of us. So yeah, that's really cool. So I respect Kill and what he's got going on. And then there's another brother that I respect. You got the opportunity to work with George Clinton several times. How was it like working with George Clinton? Funkadelic.
Yeah, he's one of the funksters from back in the day, and we used to chill and put music together, you know. If you go on YouTube, you'll see a little George Clinton at the Black Hole with me and El DeBarge, George Clinton. We just jamming, you know, having a good time doing music. That's what we do, so, you know.
Right. So
but, George did his thing. He had his time and his era, you know. He was a big influence with the funk music, you know. That's like I said, when I was young, I used to listen to the funk music. He was one of the guys, you know. Parliament, Flashlight, you know, all that. And grew up and learned how to play it. And you hear elements of that in my music today, you know.
Right.
So yeah, I respect him and his great musicians that he had back then, you know.
Well, Kenny, I was there. I seen it. They respect you.
Yeah.
He came to the studio because your sound. Now we all know George Clinton is an icon, and he recognizes music from the time he took a crap.
That's right.
Till now, so he knows what he hears, and he knows what he likes, and he knows what the world likes. He came to you, and he brought his friends and cronies too. They all loved you.
Oh yeah.
So now you're accepted by icons, legends. Can't get no higher. So they come to you for your sound. How does that make you feel? George Clinton, like you said, El DeBarge. I mean, there's a whole lot of others, but how did George Clinton in person? Because George Clinton was the most sampled artist in hip hop. If it wasn't for George Clinton and James Brown, we wouldn't have hip hop. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have West Coast hip hop. Mm-hmm. They came to you, George Clinton, came to your studio, hung out with you, jammed with you. It says a lot.
That's right. Well, he did have the song theme from the Black Hole. He had to come down to the Black Hole. You know?
The other thing for
yeah.
Big up to George Clinton. Okay, now here's something what people do know but probably don't know. Used to work with a artist by the name of One Time, another community activist artist at the same time. Worked for the police station, but he also was community activist and he also liked to rap. How was it like working with him?
That was cool. Working with a police officer.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, because I thought he was cool. He was a jokester too.
Yeah, he was a fun guy.
Yeah, he was fun to work with. And then on top of that,
he made it to Arsenio Hall.
Yes.
He believes you never can judge a person, boy. They get right through the door before you know it. So that's why I said, just say, how can I do it? You know,
right.
How can I make it happen? Anything in life, you know.
Yeah, I remember he was on Arsenio.
Arsenio Hall. How many people want to go on Arsenio? Never made it. This guy do one song and he on Arsenio that quick.
Now I got another question for you. You remember G Lynn? Mm-hmm. His mother was a rapping granny.
Right.
How was it like working with the rapping granny?
Oh, she was creative and had energy for an older woman and kept it going. Her son had the hip hop thing going, so she was influenced and she knew how to swing it too, you know.
Yeah.
She was from the hood too, so she can put it in, you know.
Yeah, she was real cool. I met her a couple of times.
Yeah. She was just an older lady being younger, you know, with a younger attitude.
Yeah.
You know? That was cool.
She was real.
She was.
She was super real.
And she was good.
Yeah. 100%. Okay, so now I'm just going over different artists, a range of artists that you work with. But then you also got to work with Do Why Diddy Man, Domino. Mm-hmm. How was it like working with Domino?
Oh yeah, even Battle Cat, you know, they put it together and come to the studio and put it down, you know.
Now you frequent with Battle Cat on a regular basis.
Oh yeah.
Now Battle Cat is known for mega hits too as well. Mm-hmm. Talk about that relationship that you have with Battle Cat, because we got a couple buddies that you work with that we didn't even know that I knew that we knew, and y'all work with Battle Cat, the dynamite artist. He's off the chain. Still got the production, he still got the sound, still got the heavy bass, the 808, the smooth, warm rolls. He got all that. It's banging.
Oh, Battle Cat's a real cool, humble West Coast guy. You know, don't want no beef with nobody about his business, you know. And he established that West Coast sound because you can tell he was influenced by that Parliament and all that too. You tell it in his music, you know. Mm-hmm. He got it cracking and he got that sound, and you know, he always had that clap, you know. So yeah, he was a big influence for the West Coast to even put that funk in the right place, you know, and play it the right way and give it that vibe, you know.
Yeah.
So he's one of the producers I look up to, like, yeah, he can do it, you know, bring that funk out for real.
Yeah. Battle Cat definitely is proven hit records year after year, even when he produced now at the Nipsey Hussle.
And Black Tobin and Jelly Roll, you know.
I like Jelly Roll. Yeah, Jelly Roll was real cool. Yeah. I
know they can bring it, you know.
Yeah, Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll got a sound of his own too.
Yeah.
Super West Coast. And like you say, super influenced by George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic.
A lot by his uncle, which is Charlie Wilson.
Right.
Yeah, so
right.
They sing and all that, so yeah, they get in.
Okay. Now, can you tell the world about your friend, Mace Man?
Oh, Mace Man, he's a guy that when I came out to California, we had our band together and we were doing different nightclubs and stuff like that, playing around. And I met Mace in the club one night. He wanted to carry the equipment. He said, for no charge, I carry the equipment. And we said, wow, that's a great roadie to have. He's not going to charge us. So from that day on, he was carrying the equipment and putting everything together for us. He became a roadie, then he became a friend. He started playing guitar, and and he ended up hanging out, hanging around while we had the studio stuff together, doing his thing, and helping other people get into the studio and helping them out with their albums,
Yeah.
He
I like Mace Man.
motivated.
Yeah, Mace Man was always down and always ready to do a show.
Always ready. He had bought an RV and he had fun in it. And this is 2019. I think he just bought a new one. Just got a new one last week, so he getting ready to hit the road one more time.
So now, what about the Infinious Funk Mob?
Infinious Funk Mob was a band that, Mace Man always really wanted to have, so he got everybody together to take a picture, and we took a picture for the band called the Infinious Funk Mob.
Yeah, beautiful too. Kenny on guitar. Okay, now, so the Infinious Funk Mob, Mace Man. Okay, this is what I want to know, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
You're a dynamite artist, right? You're a great person to your family and to other people. You help out. But you got brothers. So I know you guys have produced a couple records back in the day.
My brother Kevin, yeah, he did a rap record.
Kevin, that's right, Kevin, yeah.
And Charlie Wilson, everybody on it.
Exactly. Now, tell me about that project. Big up to Kevin. Big up to Kevin. That's my dude.
Well, we got a record deal over at Solar Records with Dick Griffey. And we were over there, and we did the record with him, and I guess Virgil was the attorney over at the time, Virgil Roberts, and we hooked that deal up. And we got a publishing deal with BMG around that time. This was probably, in 89 or something like that?
Yeah.
No, this was, about 89. Somewhere around there. It's been a while. But yeah, we were doing the Solar thing, Solar, a lot of people went through Solar, Suge and Harry-O, and there's been a lot going on up that Solar, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a lot of money and artists being hands exchanged up there.
So yeah, Dick Griffey helped put a lot of people on,
Did you
Not saying that he put us on or anything happened behind it, because, he turned into the J. Hines Company, and, was he named after his mom or whatever, and no money or anything was ever made up there, So that's not a put on. That's just another way we went through. Yeah. And who did put us on? We went to BMG, and they gave us money. Mike O'Connor hooked us up over there, and got us a lot of money, and Danny Strick was over there working, and got us in the door. We put it together.
Mm-hmm. That's everybody you named are my generation and younger. They have no idea that these guys are the reason why there's opportunities for us now.
Oh yeah,
big time.
Good people.
Very good people. Yeah. So okay, Ken. So now you're moving. You're a studio owner. You're a black business owner. Your studio is popping. At one point in time, you and the one guy who produced The Kids, what was his name? Jermaine Dupri.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this one studio in New York, were the only ones at the time who had the Euphonics board.
Oh yeah.
Can you talk about that time, about working with the Euphonics board and making the hits, making the records that you did on it?
Oh yeah, I mean it was cool. That's the one we did the Jayo Fellony project with, right. With Method Man and all of them. So Euphonics was a different kind of experience, and it's a different world. It was nothing that great from having Pro Tools or something like that. It's just another board that you bought that you spent, $250,000, $300,000 on trying to do something. You know, what technology now has changed where you don't have to spend that kind of money to try to achieve some of the things you was getting back then.
Right.
But, you know, that's what it's all about is live and you learn.
Yeah, but that's $250,000.
Yeah.
It was well spent. Hits was made on it. There you go.
That's true.
Can't complain about that.
And they made money. So.
That's right. Every day. So that's excellent, Ken. So we letting the world know your past, people you work with, how many hits that you're making and continuing to make, some of the artists that you work with, some of the musicians that you work with. So now we're in the presence now.
Mm-hmm.
You've taken your knowledge from every aspect of the studio, from reel to reel to digital. I just have a question. All of this hard work that all of these musicians and artists put in to get to this point, and now artists are rapping for the first time ever in their life and have records that really seem like they shouldn't even be there, but they're big and they're blowing up.
Well, see, that's because it's a different age and time now, where you got this thing called the internet now, so it's out there. And if you know how to work social media and get your numbers up high on the internet and get a lot of people following you, you can pretty much do anything if you got that following and make it happen, But yeah, it's about having that following.
Yeah, that's what it's about. It is about having a following. And I see you still work with all the traditional record companies. You still work with all of the big CEOs and executives. They still come to you for mastering. They still come to you for mixing. They still come to you for that sound that they can't get anywhere else.
That's right.
So, as a musician, as an engineer, what advice do you have to someone who had the same dream and passion that you had when you came to LA with the guitar?
Well, any dream and passion you got, just stick with it and don't be afraid,
Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid.
Don't be that person to say, hey, I can't afford this, I can't afford that. Be that person to say, hey, how do I get it?
Exactly. How do I get it?
Mm-hmm.
So now, you know what, Ken? All the music that you have laid down in the past, we still groove to right now. I mean, they're in heavy rotation. I want to thank you for that, and the world want to thank you for it because you changed people's minds and attitudes. You even change some people's life for the better by producing that music that they rapped on. So, but what do you have in the mix going on right now?
Just in here working on a few different artists, mixing and mastering and putting it together for them. Ty Dolla $ign, Blueface, different West Coast artists out here just putting it down.
So, Blueface right now has two of the hottest records out. So we can look forward to you to be on this album that's coming out?
On the Blueface album?
Yeah.
No, I'm doing a remix for a guy named Rich Rick, and he got Blueface on there. So I just did that. I'll let you hear a little bit of it later, and then I just did one with Ty Dolla $ign.
Oh wait.